You bet. And if the New York AG is successful, she's not going to just eliminate the NRA. Don't kid yourself on that. She may also be able to funnel the money that the NRA has raised and has in its budget to political allies. That's right. So if the NRA is dissolved, its assets go onto a receiver who can then hand them over to other, quote, like-minded charities. But is this just a way to divert NRA funds to anti-cop and pro-gun control leftist groups? Could that actually happen? John Eastman, Claremont Institute Senior Fellow, Constitutional Scholar, has been looking into this for us. John, how could the Democrats use these funds if they ended up winning this?
Well, if they put it in receivership under the New York corporation laws, where there's become a trustee for it, it would be a bizarre thing to say we're going to take the assets of the NRA because the NRA leadership abuse the charitable contributions from its members, but instead of returning those assets to the members, the people that made their charitable contributions, put them toward a cause that's the opposite of what they would support. No version of the state's role in corporate oversight would allow that, and yet that seems to be what she's after here.
Well, and I think she'd try to, use quite a stretch of the language, John, to say, well, everyone wants safety. The NRA says they're about safety, and a defund the police effort would put more money into safe spaces or safe community. There's all sorts of ways a clever lawyer can play with the language. That's what she seemed to be hinting at today.
One hopes that the courts, even if they're kind of ideologically biased, to see through that pretext. But you never know. Look, I mean, her claims are that some of the top leadership of the NRA misused funds for personal reasons. The same thing happened over at the United Way. The same thing happened with Cecil Richards at Planned Parenthood. The same thing. Planned Parenthood. The same thing happened with the head of the New York chapter of Planned Parenthood. I didn't see her bringing this kind of dissolution claim against the organization itself, rather than against the individual officers who allegedly had abused the funding and the charitable rules. That's what we normally do. We don't dissolve the organization when an officer absconds with some money. And I'm not claiming that's what happened here at the NRA, but even if her allegation on that is true, you go after the officer, you don't go after the organization.
Well, do you, yes or no, John, is this a campaign of political retribution and a warning to others who get in the way of the socialist revolution that she envisions?
It certainly is, but I'd be very careful with the left. They are now taking steps that are awakening a sleeping giant in this country, of people who have let live with the relatively minor abuses that we've been suffering for decades. But these abuses are getting intolerable. That language comes from the Declaration of Independence, of course. And when the abuses become intolerable, we have to stand up and take action.
They don't have the consent of the governed any longer. John, thank you so much. Great to see you tonight.